Let me know at Ask Amanda Show what you think about all this foolishness that this government is proposing behind your back, especially if you haven't had time to listen to much of the news this week because you've been killing yourself, working. You ain't probably heard about all these little things they're bringing in on the underhand. They're on it on the DL. Okay, it's behind the closed doors. They're just deciding your fate. Okay, so I'm here to let you know these are some of the things that I've heard about. So I'm sure a lot of you are going to be going out and doing your homework like, okay, did she mention that? And I don't remember that. Or maybe someone mentioned it to me, but I didn't really take any notice. Yes, people, you need to start taking notice because this is happening and it's going to affect you and impact you and your family. Okay, because this is what the government is just doing. They're talking a lot, but I ain't seen no action. That's why I've been going hell for leather, especially in the last few weeks on social media, because I know they're seeing this. And obviously, they're not just seeing it. Other people are seeing it. Okay. So when you start to bring things to people's attention, it's like, okay, hold on a minute. Okay. Because, if someone just does it once or twice and they don't do anything, I'm not that type of person. If I have a bee in my bonnet, I'm going to let the whole world know. And I'm going to keep doing it. Okay. So, yes, I'm just going to keep on going because I know certain things need to be talked about and not just talked about and then swept under the carpet as they like to do. They mention it and then they'll say, oh, anyway, moving on. You're like, no. No, you can't just move on. This is a big thing. People are struggling yet you're still going to keep, like I said, you're still going to keep sending out the bailiffs to people. You're still going to keep stressing people out. People don't get enough sleep. They've even said this. Sleep deprivation is a killer. If you don't get enough sleep, right, I've nearly killed over from exhaustion because I was working too hard. It ain't good for you, right? You need to make sure that you can look after yourself. And it means that you need to get 7-8+ hours a night. I heard, I must stress this, Cable. You know who I heard say that he gets 9-10 hours of sleep a night? What's his name? Murray, the tennis player. He reckons he gets 9 to 10 hours.
Okay.
Really? I was like, really? I wish I could even get 7 hours a night. And he reckons he gets 9 or 10 hours. I was like, whoa. I was like, wow, that's a luxury indeed.
I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah.
8 is good. Wow. Now, 8, I try to, sometimes I hope I can get 8, but 10, 11?
He says he gets 9-10 hours a day. I was like, what?
Well, if you got that much money, you can probably wake up when you feel like it, too. That's the other thing.
Well, yeah, I suppose. This is what I mean, when you're rich, you got a lot more time for leisure. Not saying that you haven't worked hard to get your money. I'll never say that. But obviously, you don't have to work yourself into the ground for the rest of your life. I'm just going to touch on this as well, okay, Rose. They always say, they're putting up the retirement age. People, I know you are laughing at me, but I have to do this because I've got to get it all out. And I ain't even finished yet because I want to talk about adult social care. We're going to go there in a minute. But I just have to say, right, they're putting up the age of retirement. So what's going to happen, right, is that, sorry, peeps, but just to let you know, you will probably end up working until you drop dead. And I mean literally, okay? Because every year is, first it was 60 odd. Now then it was, and I think it was 60 for women and 65 for men or something like that. And now it's got into the 70s. So if you are still working when you're 75 plus, you ain't going to have no retirement, innit? Because the day you finally might say, okay, I can't do it no more. And it's not because I'm supposedly going off to retire and, into my twilight years, as it were. No, it's because you're literally probably so knackered that you just keel over and they force you to go home. And then when you call up and say, right, I'm coming back to it. No, your job's no longer here. You're too old because you keeled over. We can't have you keeling over again. So we're going to sack you. So rather than you giving up your job because you were going off to retire or you just said, okay, I'm going to stop working or I'm going to, lower my time. No, if you work yourself into the ground, or if they work you into the ground, I should say, you will probably end up keeling over on the job and then finding out, as if you survive, that you ain't got no job to go back to.
Wow.
They're going to kill you. They're going to work you till you're dead and then that's it. And oh yeah, I forgot, like I just said earlier, the death tax. So, well, if you ain't got no money, don't worry about it because you know what they say. You ain't got no money. That's it.
But can you, for the death tax, is that
there's a new death tax here.
where, is it your estate has to pay this?
Well, inheritance tax, which was bad enough,
right,
is where you pay, especially over a certain threshold, you have to pay a certain amount.
Exactly.
And then obviously you're just your family, if you've left a good will, your family get the rest of it. But now they're trying to introduce a new death tax, isn't it?
Well, but is this to be paid by your estate? If you die, you have to pay $50 because you're not going to be on the tax rolls to pay taxes? I mean, what is this?
I don't know what they're going to do, but I remember hearing somebody saying, oh yeah, they're trying to introduce a new tax on top of the inheritance one. So basically, after you dropped in and you try to give your kids something, whether it be a house or some money, you normally pay a tax on that in it, which they called inheritance tax.
Exactly.
Now they're trying to do another one, which everyone's jokingly calling it a death tax, because they're like, bloody hell, they haven't finished cleaning you out from inheritance tax. They're going to do another one. So I don't know how they're going to factor that in. I don't know all the ins and outs of it yet, but this is another thing they want to add. Oh God. I'm struggling to pay, council tax and working tax. I'm struggling to pay that. So I ain't even worrying about, inheritance tax, because I ain't got no money to leave anyone right now, so they ain't getting nothing. And death tax, hell no. Just forget it. I have to laugh. I'm sorry. But Kara, I was on a serious. I know my time is running out on me. OMG, I got to do this, right? We have the National Health Service, NHS, over here in the UK. Mm-hmm. Okay. Everybody knows it's reached crisis stage, okay? And the UK government is having to admit, okay, that the social care system, the adult social care system, when you're old, you're supposed to know that you're going to be looked after, right? But unfortunately, because of the way that things are going, right? Nah, ain't going to happen, people. So basically, especially when you get older, normally, most of us don't want to end up in no home, do we? Kind of thing, because if you're going to keel over, you want to do it in your bed, right? But unfortunately, especially in all seriousness, if you get dementia and stuff like that, sometimes your family may have to put you in. But remember, that's only if you can afford it. So that means if you either are very rich, or if you sell your house to pay for your care, adult social care, right? But remember, a lot of people can get on the housing ladder these days, so you won't have nothing to sell to be able to pay for the care.
Right.
So basically that's number one. But then number two is also they're realizing that even in its entirety, just from the government giving councils the money to have these old people's homes, they can't do it. The reason why is because there's not enough money in the tax pot, right? So link 28 Keros. As far as I'm concerned, this is disgusting. It's become inhumane, undignified, dangerous, and just downright untenable. Because basically, when someone like a caregiver, like a nurse or someone comes round to someone's home,
mm-hmm.
for example, to look after them. Now, listen, that takes time, right? But it's got so bad that they're being restricted to giving 10, 15 minutes of care in some places, right? So basically, they literally have to come and say, hi, so-and-so. Okay, I can't stop. What do you want to do? Do you want to have a bath, or do you want me to give you some food? That's disgusting. So basically, they probably only got enough time to take the person to the toilet and give them a squish, splosh, splash.
They don't have time to care for the elderly, is what I'm hearing you say. No,
they're literally in and out onto the next one. And if they are, and because obviously in the care system, the social care system, they're so short staffed. Sometimes all these people ain't even getting someone coming to them for days on end. So imagine going 2-3 days with no proper food and not being able to bathe or go to the toilet because you need assistance, especially if you need a lot of assistance.
Wow,
that's disgusting, isn't it? Can you imagine that? If you knew that your granny, for example, was scheduled to have one of these visits, and then you phone her up, you say, "You all right, granny?" And she turns around and she said, "Oh, so and so they didn't come today." You're like, "What do you mean?" She said, "Yeah, I haven't had a bath. I couldn't get a bath. I haven't eaten today. I'm hungry." Da-da-da. Imagine if you live miles away or you live on the other side of the world or whatever. You're gonna feel so bad in it because you can't get to her. And she was supposed to have somebody come and look after her, and they couldn't get to her because, for example, if one of them was called in sick, they're really short-staffed already. And you just think, oh my God. You know, I'm not being funny. This government are having a laugh. They do not know how to manage the money that they allocate to the NHS. And now they're squeezing it because they're cutting. So basically, to me, this is another example of the public funding being misused and wasted. They're just wasting it. Because I will tell you why. Who in their right mind pays a locum doctor £3,000-4,000 a shift? Who does that?
Man, that sounds like the United States now.
It's ridiculous. Who pays? So I'm not saying that the doctors are not worth being paid, but not that amount of money for one shift, because they're so desperate to have someone, and they're so like understaffed that they. Okay, Rose, I have to take a deep breath, you know, because you know I'm gonna start having a fit, and this is not fair. You can't do this to people. That's just inhumane. The indignity of not being able to have a proper bath or wash, or have yourself have a meal. And it's not like, oh my God. I obviously, we know they're not asking for 3-course meals. You know, can you not even stay with them enough to give them some cereal or, you know, something?
You follow the money again. You basically find if the government's supplying the service, they don't want to put money into the bucket anyway to do it, so they're going to put minimal amounts of money in the bucket. So then the people they pay, they probably have them overworked, where they have instead of having 5 people or 10 people to see a day, they may have 15 to 20 people to see. It's just not fair.
No, and they're overworked now, so that's why they're phoning in sick, because they're literally knackered from trying to get to as many different people as possible. And obviously, you know, the older someone else gets in that type of a job, the more of a toll it takes on them physically, because it's a physical job. You've got to lift someone out of bed, maybe, and you've got to lift them out of the bath and in and out of the bath, and you've got to help them up and down the stairs, depending on where they live. You know, it's not easy. It's not an easy job to do, is it? You know,
wow.
And oh my God, I see these things and I just think, wow. And then you see all the money. Okay, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I reckon they need to get rid. Okay, no. If either they get rid of the House of Lords completely, or no, I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious. Get rid of it, or what they tell them to do is you lot have to work for free. You lot are lords and baronesses and ladies. You got money. You don't need to be paid £300+ a day. That's the only reason we know you're sitting in there. Some of them go in, they clock in. I'm sorry, I'm just going to hot them up now. They clock in for the £300 and then they go home again. So they literally come in to clock in to get their money and they go home again, Karos. Honestly, they've been caught at it and they've been told about that and they've been told to stop, and I'm sure they haven't.
They have to be exposed.
£300 a day. Yeah, they just come in for that and then they go home again. Now, if you told them we're locking you off, you ain't getting no more money, soon see how fast the House of Lords gets vacated. Soon see how fast they all say, oh, well, I don't need to do it anymore. I can do something else. I can pretend to go and do public service somewhere else. Yeah.
But that's the sad part about it, because they really aren't there to govern or to serve the people. They're there as a status symbol, and they're really stealing money as far as I'm concerned.
£300 a day. Hello, I'll take that. Thank you very much. You can give me that. I'm very happy. So we can see why they're just like, okay, well, we like it here.
Right.
You know, and they're not really trying to go anywhere anytime soon. It's inflated, that place. And that's why they don't want to, you know, close it down. But they need to close it down. Close it down. The greed. The greed. You just look around and you think to yourself, my God, you lot say you want to help the people of the UK and you want to work for the people and but why is it that we're all struggling then? You know, and nobody wants to admit that they're going to have to start thinking about other ways of because there's too many companies, like I said, taking advantage. And if you're going to keep outsourcing the work to other places because you want to pay the workers even less, you know, like in other countries, then, you know, what are the UK citizens supposed to do? Don't get me wrong. I don't have I want to help people and charity and all that type of thing. But I'm sorry, in this instance, you know, charity begins at home.
Right.
You know, and if you can't even keep a roof over your own head and feed yourself and your kids, then how are you supposed to give to all these other charitable causes around the world? How are you supposed to do it? You can't, because you're struggling and you know someone's waiting for you, and you're up half the night because you're waiting for the bomb to drop for the bailiff or someone to come to your house and start banging on the door.
And what people don't,
these letters.
they don't realize also that those stresses
Yeah.
and those strains also end up causing